Hello, friends. Today's topic is, do you need a car? Let's rant.
I'm going to be so freaking honest about my own failures as of recently. So, I have not always been good at maintaining cars. I'm really bad at keeping up with like the oil change, brakes and stuff. And recently, literally, like right after I was like vibing to Kendrick Lamar's halftime show for the Super Bowl this year, I was heading home, like literally right after he finished. I was like bumping music to him and I was like on the freeway bobbing. And then my engine went out. And then it got to the mechanics and found out that my engine blew. And it was because I didn't check the oil. And of course that's my fault, right? I'm not blaming anybody else. Unfortunately, I can't. What I would have done back then is figure out a way on how to convince my mom or like a couple family members to help me get some loans from them so that I can buy like a cheap car off of like Marketplace, OfferUp, something of that sort. And so since then I've been like carless and I've been kind of losing my mind because I hate depending on others for a ride, especially because as I've gotten older, I don't want to be at an event the entire time. I want to eventually leave once I've had enough peopling. And because, I messed up and I wasn't keeping up with the cars, I am now having to take public transportation. I have not needed to do this since high school. I'm 35 years old. I loathe public transportation, especially out here in Los Angeles. There have been 2 stabbings in like the last month, 3 weeks, I want to say. And it's like one of them happened on the line that I take, like right by my place. I don't want to share too much information because I'll need y'all knowing where I live. And then there's another one on this other train that I would like sometimes take depending on the route that I'm going. I'm not trying to get stabbed and it's scary, but I hate that I got myself here because I need to get around. I had an appointment today that I could not miss. And thankfully I arrived 3 hours early because I messed up with like the scheduling, but it was such a, what is it called? These recent public transportations has been humbling my ass so much where it's like, okay, I have clearly hit rock bottom. I've lost how many times? Because I've always hit rock bottom. Like, it's just, I'm really good at doing that. And I'm also good at eventually getting back up, but not to like, I'm getting up with the help of others. This time I'm really having to get up on my own, like having to plant my hands and pick myself up and lift my own weight. As you know, as we should as adults. Like I'm taking my stuff that I've done. I know that this is my fault. And I'm probably just venting on how much I hate public transportation, especially out here in LA County. It's the worst. Get me to the Bay Area and I will take public transportation all day, at any time. I swear, I lived out there for a little over a month and I loved it. Walking around over there in the Bay Area is also completely different than walking out here in LA County. In the Bay, I don't have to be all mean mugging and like have to have my hands in a fist or like look at, a dude who's fucking like looking at me wrong, or I can clearly tell that he's just an unsafe person. And I have to act so tough and so like you can't mess with me. But in the Bay, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I still have just the one earphone, making sure I can listen to everything else. But I don't like the public transportation out here. And I understand that I got myself here. I hope, no, not I hope, I will. Because this is the last time I ever want to be this like down in the gutter of not ever having a car while living in a freaking county like this. This is making me appreciate the times I have had a car, especially because driving is my therapy. Blast up the music all the way, put all the windows down, let me drive on the freeway when there's barely any traffic. Oh, especially going down PCH. Yes, I miss that so much. So this is all to say to myself and remind myself in case I do look at this video later on. I'm going to be better at my car that I have whenever I can save up and buy another one. And I'm going to treat it so much better than I treated any of my other relationships in the past. Because I'm too pretty for public transportation.
Dear NYC government officials, if you're going to hike the fare, please accommodate the environment in which the citizens have to take public transportation, because there should be no reason why people are paying $2.90 for the fare and you guys haven't built anything to stop people from jumping on the tracks and killing themselves. Tracks still smell like piss and shit. Homeless people are still sleeping on trains. People are still late to work. Add more train times, add more trains, shit like that. Because honestly, you don't see this happening on the LIRR, but to each its own.
America needs more public transportation. So I was thinking about getting a bike, right? Like not a motorcycle bike, but like an actual pedal bike. Take it back to grade school, you know, one that you have the gears and all that stuff, right? Because I don't want to have to pay in California like $5 a gallon for gas. And then like think about how much you have to pay for things like insurance, which I got 2 strikes. I pay $600 a month for insurance. It's ridiculous. Car payments is crazy. If I just want to get some groceries or go like to a restaurant real quick, I want to be able to get there without having to take my car every single time. Or if I want to go out and do something, I don't want to have to call Uber and pay $40. I won't have to do all these things like that. And I was thinking, America really needs more public transportation. Like New York, pretty cool. Like that, I wish we had it all around the whole entire country. Or I went to Paris last year. And Paris, it's perfect. No matter where you're at, you could find a public transportation spot or hub or whatever you're probably walking less than half a mile, and it's cheap. It's like $2 to go anywhere in the city. Not like to certain locations. You could ride it anywhere. So it's cheap, it's affordable, and it just makes sense. And I don't understand why we don't have more of that here in America.
Nothing beats having your own car. Trust me. Let's continue.
Okay, then let's be honest, this is coming from an extremely privileged take because I absolutely do not agree. I know many, many people that do not have a driver's license, and I know even more people that do not have access to a vehicle. Because let's be completely honest, most of the people that do not have regular access to a vehicle are lower income. Most people that are lower income, their community is also low income. So for the most part, it's not going to be easy to find someone with a spare vehicle that's willing to let you use it long term to get back and forth from work every day without you having to pay for it. So no, it is not actually just feasible to be like, oh, well, people can just borrow cars, because that is not public transport. That is actually charity work, actually. So when we're discussing the need for better public transport, borrowing your grandma's vehicle because she can't drive anymore doesn't count. And I know many, many, many people that have a driver's license, that have a job, and they still cannot afford a vehicle because they couldn't afford the maintenance for it. They couldn't afford the gas for it. They couldn't afford the insurance for it. They couldn't afford the note for it. And they can't just borrow their friend's vehicle because their friend needs it for work. And because their friend also would need them to pay for it, and they can't exactly afford to do that. It's extremely privileged to just assume that someone will have a vehicle ready for you to borrow it. It's not exactly standard for people to just have someone in their life that they can depend on like that. Like, I can't imagine for someone that has a very tight budget and does not have like a partner or friends or parents that are nearby that would reliably be able to let them borrow their vehicle. That's not the reality for most people.
Let me rant to y'all about how it is to really live in Atlanta. My biggest pet peeve is how horrible y'all public transportation is and how far away everything is from each other. Y'all can't have horrible public transportation or make everything far apart from each other. It just doesn't make any sense. I just got off of work and the concert's at 7. It's 4 o'clock now. So I'm like, okay, let me just go home and chill. Nope. If I go home, I will literally have to leave 30 minutes later in order to make it in time to make it for my concert again. And it just sucks because in order to live in Atlanta, you got to live in the outskirts of Atlanta. Everybody who lives like in Atlanta, they hang out in the outskirts. And everybody who hangs out in the outskirts, they do shit in Atlanta.
So people who be posting their videos in the car, you know, the ones where they're like telling a story or, you know, trying to share some tips. So what if you don't have a car? Because those videos be really high performing, but I'm a commuter. I'll be on that motherfucking train, the subway. I'll be walking. So do I just do walking videos? Y'all want to like hear about my life while I'm on public transportation, while I'm on the bus? I guess I could do that. And maybe I need to like just lean into my story a little bit more. I've been in LA for almost 7 years. I've never owned a car. Yes, mobility is a bit limited, but we've got rideshare and we have public transportation. I've got friends who got cars and I still be getting around. It does help that I pretty much like work from home.
If we're being honest, the buses in New York City are way more better and enjoyable to take than the trains.
Okay, Europeans, who wants to know just how ass public transportation is in the United States? For context, I live about 20 or so minutes from a very big, very well-known university in the area that I live in this state. And you'd think that that means, since there's a bunch of students and stuff, that the public transportation would be amazing. It does exist, unlike the last place I lived, it does exist, but this is what it's actually like. For starters, even though there are buses, the nearest bus stop is 14 kilometers away from my house, or 9 miles away from my house, which I don't know about you, but I don't think that I can walk that or even roll there in my wheelchair. Most people aren't going to be able to make that on foot, especially if you're due somewhere at a certain time. So you have to figure out if you can get someone to give you a ride to the bus stop, or if you can get an Uber or something. We all know how not cheap that is. Now, if we're gonna go about this in the context of like British transportation, because I used the bus system when I was in the UK, if you want just a 1 month bus pass, which makes a lot more sense than trying to get the tokens or pay per ride, because if you're gonna use it a lot for like work or something or school, it just makes sense. That 1 month bus pass is going to cost you over £70 sterling, which is a lot for people around here, especially. Even if you're working full time, that's quite a bit of money that's going toward just your bus pass alone. And that's only for 1 month. If you want more than that, you can actually get one for about 4 months. And that is going to cost you about £280. So not only do you have to pay to get an Uber to the bus stop every day and back home from it every day, you also have to pay that much for the bus alone if you're lucky enough to even get in. Of course, just like anywhere else, they always have like scheduling issues. Don't want to deal with the bus because it's always too crowded with people? That's okay. We actually do have a train. It does exist, but we only have one. It's Amtrak. Unless you're in a huge city like New York City, Seattle, Chicago, something like that, you get Amtrak or you get nothing. The nearest Amtrak to where I live is about an hour away from my house. So regardless of whether you want the bus or not, it's too bad. You're going to have to get in that Uber to get on the bus, to be on the bus probably well over an hour, because there's stops on the way to finally get to the train. And on the train, say that you want to get from Altoona to Pittsburgh, it takes, an hour and some minutes or so. Usually if you're just driving, it's going to take over 3 hours on the train. That's our transportation system.
These days, you need a car. Going to work is a must for most people. So how to get to work on time? A car. What do you think about this video? Comment down below. Until next video.